Okay, today we're going to do that for Chav Zayin at the base. We're just finishing off a machlekes between Rabbi and Rabbanan. If I have an oven that was heated up with wood that is from something which is also to have benefit from it. So Rabbi says that the bread now will be the bread that you cooked in this oven is asur, and starts the Gemara on Chav Zayin on base all the way at the top. Michlal. If Rabbi says the bread is asur, and Rabbanan, we know that Rabbanan argue with Rabbi Michlal. From Rabbi's words, we could see the Rabbanan, the Pligi Yaleh, that Rabbanan argue with Rabbi say, I feel like Shabu Kukanegde, even if you have a fire which is coming from something which is asur, and it's baking your bread, it's still mutter. The bread is still mutter. So if the bread is mutter, Allah. So the question is, how is there a hechatimza? How is there a metzias? How is there a case that the wood would be asur ba'ana? Usually use wood in order to use as fire. But if the fire that comes out of the wood is mutter, according to Rabbanan, because the bread is mutter, so what does it mean that Rabbanan asid the acid wood to have benefit from? Says the Gemara, very simple case. Answers, if you have a wooden bench, you have wood from which is made from a arla tree, and the Rabbanan say, even in this case, the Rabbanan agree that if you're sitting on the bench, you're having direct anah from the bench, and therefore you cannot sit on a bed that a bench or bed that was made by arla tree. So now I'm going to a whole different sugya. They asked from Rabbi Mercham of Chisda. Rabbi Mercham asked of Chisda, Tanur shesiku ba'atzei hekdesh v'af b'pas. If you have a oven that was heated up with wood from hekdesh, remember there's a big difference. Until now we're speaking about an oven that was heated up by arla wood or kilayim wood. What about the oven that was heated up by wood from hekdesh? So the din is Rabbanan the sharu b'kamaisomai. Do Rabbanan say the bread is mutter if you cook bread in sabon or not? Amar lei. So the Chisda answered him, Hapas asur, the bread is asur. Says the obvious question is, Uma bin zul l'arla. Why when I bake a bread in an oven that was made by arla wood, the din is asur, the bread is mutter, sorry. But when I cook a bread in an oven that was made by hekdesh, it's mutter. It's asur, sorry. What's the difference between arla that's mutter and hekdesh is asur? Answers the Gemara, Amarava hachi hashta arla b'tel masayin. Regarding arla, if you have a arla stick or arla fruit and it gets mixed up into 100 times, it's 200 times its amount is bottle. But hekdesh afila be'ela flei bottle. But hekdesh even 1,000 times, even if you have one apple and it gets mixed into 1,000 apples, the apple would stay. All those apples now become asur. From here we see that hekdesh is much more chamer than arla. So regarding arla, if I bake a bread that was made by arla wood, so the bread is mutter. But by hekdesh, when I bake a bread that was made by hekdesh wood, it's asur. Says the Gemara, Eli Amar Rava says, Ikashu le hakash. If you're already asking questions, ask a better question. Vale mala masik. We just said now that if you bake bread in an oven that was heated up by hekdesh wood, it's asur. The question is, as soon as you light this hekdesh wood, you are over on Isser Meila. We mentioned this a few times. There's an Isser once you use something from the Beis Hamikdash, you are over on Meila. You have to bring use, the thing loses its status as hekdesh and now becomes mundane. So the question is regarding this piece of wood. The second you light the wood, so you're over Mila, and then the wood loses its status of hekdesh. So if the wood loses the status of hekdesh, it's like regular wood. And once it's regular wood, so why is your bread asur? So there's a few answers. The first answer is Amar Papa. The Papa says, we're speaking about the wood that's coming from shlamim. Meaning a person was makdish wood in order to buy with this wood a carbon shlam. And the din is by carbon shlam, by libo de Rabbi Yehuda, and we go to the corner of Rabbi Yehuda. What does Rabbi Yehuda say? The Amar Rabbi Yehuda says, hekdesh b'shegeg, if you have benefit from hekdesh. By mistake, mischalal, then the item you had hekdesh with now becomes mundane. The item you had an offer becomes mundane. But amazing if you have benefit from hekdesh on purpose, the item stays hekdesh and it doesn't become mundane. Says the Gemara, amazing my time. Why, if you use the item on purpose, does it not become mundane? Says answers the Gemara, the since if you meila, the chiv of meila is only if you do by mistake. But if you do on purpose, there's no chiv meila. And therefore, if no chiv meila, there's nothing that changes the status of the item. Nothing doesn't become chulin. Yoni goes the chulin, only becomes chulin if you're over meila. But over here, you're not over meila. And the din is shlamim nami. Even the lab bar middle, the din is regarding shlamim, regarding carbon shlamim. That carbon shlamim, you don't have to pay. Don't have to pay meila. So therefore, the nafkal chulin. So our question was regarding the wood over here. The second you light the wood on fire, the wood now loses the status of hekdesh, and therefore it's mundane wood. So why is the bread also? The answer is, Rav Papa answers that we're speaking about wood that was makdish for shlamim, and shlam doesn't have a chiv meila, and since shlam doesn't have a chiv meila, the wood never loses its status of hekdesh. Asks the Gemara, is it true the rule we just said now that anytime you're over on isur meila by having benefit from hekdesh, the item now becomes mundane? But we learn in the Brayso, Kol Nisrafin, all the things which are also about no, meaning all the things Torah said do not have benefit from it, and you have to burn it. Afra mutter, if you burn them, the ashes is mutter. Chutz mi'atze ashreda, besides the ashes of a desire tree, that the ashes are still aser. And the thing that's and the last thing that's another thing is the ephra hekdesh leilam aser. The ashes of hekdesh is always aser. Now, how do you have ashes of hekdesh? The ashes of hekdesh comes because someone lit the hekdesh on fire. If you light the hekdesh on fire, you're in a meila. So if you're ever in a meila, the wood now becomes chulin. So the how can you say that the ashes is aser? The ashes is chulin. So Amar Rabbi Bachar answers the lack of inish the nima. We're not speaking about someone lit the hekdesh on fire. We're speaking about that a spark or a fire aroused by itself. That no one lit the wood caught onto fire by itself. So no one was ever in Isser Meila. And if no one was ever in Isser Meila, the ashes stay hekdesh. And that's what the Brayso is telling you, that in that case, the ashes are us. That's the Gemara. Another answer, Rav Shmaya says, that which we say, the ashes is usher, is not speaking of the ashes of a regular hekdesh. It's speaking about a certain type of ashes that are usher. What is that? The Tanya of V'samu Banachas, V'samu Kule, V'samu Shlei Fazer, regarding the din of Truma Tadash. We spoke about this a few times. And the Beis Hamikdash, in the beginning of the day, they would take off the ashes of the Mizbeach. Those ashes of the Mizbeach are always Asabah No, and that's what the Brayso is talking about, that the ashes are Asabah No. But regular ashes, and Chanami, if you have a piece of wood and you light it on fire, the piece of wood of hekdesh, since you used it, it becomes mundane, it becomes chol. Once it becomes chol, the ashes are mut. So now we're going to a whole new subject. We'll continue what it says in the Mishnah. We said in the Mishnah, Yehuda says that the only way to get rid of chametz is by burning it. Yehuda Eimer and bir chametz ela b'sefer. Yehuda says, the famous shit of Yehuda, the only way to get rid of chametz is by burning. Says the Gemara, Amr of Yehuda, Tanya, we learn in the Brayso, Amr of Yehuda, Yehuda says, ein bir chametz ela b'sefer. The only way to get rid of your chametz is by burning it. How do we know the only way to get rid of chametz is by burning it? V'adin nice, because I make a kavachem. Uman nice. What? Just like in the Beis Hamikdash. Beis Hamikdash, if I have any leftover karbanis, shein of bali yida bali matzah, I could still see it, and I can still have a heter to have it in the Beis Hamikdash. But Talmud Tzrei said to get rid of it by burning chametz. Regarding chametz, sheyesh bali yida bali matzah. Chametz is much more chamer because chametz you can't even see. So for sure, the only way to get rid of it is by burning it. For sure you have to burn it. Okay, just like by Naisa is more lenient and Torah said to burn. So for sure, chametz, when Torah says to get rid of it, also means that burning. Amar lady told Rabbi Yehuda, kol din shat, a very important idea. Kol din shat dan chilas l'achmir. Any din which you want to be more machmir, v'sefer l'hakel, and because you are more machmir, you ended up being more makel. In your din, it doesn't count. Meaning, if you want to be machmir on a certain din, if this chumrah is going to bring to a kula, if this chumrah is going to bring that people are going to be more lenient with the din because it's such a hard din to do, that people are going to be more lenient. So the din, you can't be machmir. So in our case, if you say you only have to burn the chametz, what if I don't have any wood? What am I supposed to do? I should do nothing. But the Torah said, Tashbisa, get rid of Tashbisa, say Matechem, Chaldava, Shata Yachal Tashbisa. That doesn't tell you how to get rid of the chametz. It just doesn't tell you to get rid of the chametz. If you once Machman says the only way to get rid of it is by wood. What if someone doesn't have wood? What's he supposed to do? Now you're machmir. So if you don't have wood, what's he going to do? So the Gemara answers, Chazar Rabbi Yehuda. So Rabbi Yehuda learned out was chayzer on his svar, on his reasoning. He said, "V'danu din acher." He learned another kavachem. In other words, he's not learning a chum, now he's going to learn Gzeir Shava. He's going to make a similarity between this and another. Gzeir Shava is one of the Limudim in Torah, and therefore it doesn't matter even if it's more. If Gzeir Shava is much more accurate, that this is the din in Torah. So even someone doesn't have wood, he still has to find it. So I think about man neisar asu b'achila. Neisar leftover kabanis is asu to eat. Chametz asu b'achila. Chametz is asu to eat. So man neisar just like neisar, which is asu to eat, you should burn it. So I learned that the chametz of chametz b'sleifa. So chametz should also burn. Amalek Chacham said, "What do you mean? Nevela techiach. I have a din of a nevela. If you shach the animal and it wasn't kosher, and shor asur b'achila, which is asu to eat the nevela, it doesn't say no. You have to burn the nevela. So why learn out from Neisar? Learn out from Nevela. Just like Nevela doesn't have to be burned, so Techam doesn't have to be burned. Amalahem, so we would answer them. Hefresh. There's a big difference between Nevela and Neisar. Neisar also b'achila uva no, because Neisar leftover kabanis is also to eat and have benefit, and so to chametz is also to eat and have chametz also b'achila uva no is also to eat and have benefit. Nevela is not also to have benefit. We had the whole black of Gemara that says that Nevela is much to have benefit. So chametz is more similar to Neisar than Nevela. Man Neisar tan sefer, just like Neisar has to be burnt. Av chametz tan sefer, so to chametz has to be burnt. Amrulay, so Chametz told Rabbi Yehuda, I can bring a proof from Sharon Nisko. An animal that killed someone, he has to be stoned. And also that Sharon Nisko also ba'achila is also to eat. Uva no, and also to have benefit. But it doesn't say until you have to burn the Sharon Nisko. So why are you comparing chametz to neisar? Compare chametz to Sharon Nisko. Just like Sharon Nisko is also to eat, also to have benefit, and doesn't have to be burned. So chametz has the same thing. Amalem say answer them. Hefresh, Neisar, Asur, Bachila, Vana, Neisar, leftover commands also to eat and that benefit, Vanush Karis. And if you eat it, a benefit, you're over on Isur Karis. So to Chametz, Asur, Bachila, Vana, Vanush Karis. And so to Chametz also says Vanush Karis. It says in Tefi, Chametz, you get Karis. Therefore, Man Neisar B'Sreifa, Chametz B'Sreifa. Chametz is Asur Sreifa. So to, since it has to be burned, so to Chametz has to be burned. Amrulay, so they told him back, I can bring a proof from. Okay, let's stop over here because after it's ready a new piece. Let's stop over here. That's Chazayin. I'm at base at the bottom.